Yes, everyone, what's going on? My name is Stephen Howson. This is United Review. Delighted today to be joined by my mate Tom. Tom is a scout, he's an opposition scout, so I'm very interested to see what Tom's got to say about this. And if you guys enjoy him and don't abuse him too much, maybe we'll get him back on in future for some other stuff as well. So, first initial thoughts on the game, what do you reckon, man?
Sloppy first half, I thought. Didn't really get going. Tempo didn't feel like it was there like it had been in previous games, but in the end we get 3 points, so we move on to the next one.
3 points, clean sheet. I think if you're being pretty clinical about it and cynical about it, almost even, I think that's what you've got to take away from today. A clean sheet was something we haven't had.
Yeah.
And I am pleased with that. We look at the shots that we've had there. 16 shots we had, 14 shots we allowed. It was the sloppiest performance of Ollie's reign so far, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that,
yeah. Why do you think that was?
Not sure. I thought they probably set up more defensively than what we had come up against since he took over. There was a lot less space to attack. The forward players found it more difficult to interchange, and they made it hard for us, and we had to find a way of getting that first goal. Obviously it came from a set piece, and then after that, once the game opened up a bit, we created a little bit more. Obviously we got the second goal. Pogba should have scored in the end, but yeah, I mean we got 3 points, didn't we?
Yeah, I think this was a good test for us. Like Newcastle, not the easiest place to go. Jose Mourinho pretty famously never actually managed a win at St James's Park. I think that's huge. This 4 games out of 4 for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I mean, are we in danger of being a little bit too critical here with what we're expecting, do you think?
No, I don't think so, no. I mean, I actually said to you before the game, I thought it'd be a tough game today. Newcastle aren't a bad team. It's always
I said we was going to score in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrong.
It's a tough place to go to. They've got a good manager who's well educated in the game. He's tactically very good. You knew he was going to set up to try and stop us, to try and be difficult to break down, and for the first 60 whatever minutes it was, they were just that.
Before we dive into the data then, we have got a few quotes from various different people actually today. Should we kick off and see who we've got from those first off? So let's have a look. We've got one from Ollie there. It says, finally we kept a clean sheet. From set pieces, very professional performance. We were in control, kept plugging away. Great strike again from Marcus, good reaction from Rom. When you see Big Rom running towards you, I think you'll stick your hands in. Do you know what? I disagree that we was in control of that.
It's a tough one, isn't it? People have different definitions of being in control of the game, don't they? Jose's definition was being in control of the game out of possession just as much as it was in possession. So.
Yeah, Jose was a weird one, wasn't it? 'Cause his 7 keys to victory was, one of them was to not have possession. If you have possession, you have fear, which never sat right with me, that. And if you have possession, you can make mistakes, and you're like, I'm not too sure about that one, but there you go. What other quotes have we got then? So we got that one off Ollie. Who else have we got? Here's another one. The big plus was the clean sheet. Definitely agree on that. You can play with 2 of them, Rashford and Lukaku, no problem. It gives me options. I do like the idea of having 2 strikers.
Not a massive fan in modern day.
He played at Mulder quite a bit.
I know he did. I mean, 4-4-2. I'm not advocating that it isn't a formation that shouldn't be used anymore, but I just think in the modern game, especially with the attacking players that we have that can play in and around one centre forward, I'm not too sure on that one. Sorry.
I would like to see it, because I think as more and more teams have gone to 3 at the back and stuff like that, I think having 2 centre forwards that are going to get in between those could cause a lot of problems. We've got some more quotes there, have we? Let's have a look. So Solskjaer says, I don't want to leave in May. As it stands, I don't want him to leave in May. We got some from Gary Neville as well, did we? Here we go, Gary Neville, what's he saying there? So Marcus has been accused of not being the best finisher, clinical in front of goal, but there was a real ice-cold feeling about that, and that's a great sign. That's if we can start doing that week in, week out, Manchester United have one of the top strikers. That is Marcus's weakness, isn't it? Is not being composed and clinical in front of goal.
He's had a lot of critics in the past, hasn't he? rightfully or wrongfully, you can say. I remember was it the Champions League game where he missed that fucking hatful of chances, didn't he? In the group stage. So, I mean, I've always thought he's been a different player when he's played for England than when he's played for Man United. But I think certainly since Ole's come in, you've seen a different Marcus Rashford. Is it because he's getting a run in the team, centre forward, his favourite position, you know, and he's sort of putting that faith back into the manager. But you can't fault him at the minute. He deserves to be in the team. He's scoring goals, he's creating chances, he's setting up his teammates. He's becoming the main man.
He is becoming the main man, and it's going to be very difficult to shift him. We've got a quote actually from Rashford. Just leave that, no one's asked. Here we go. So what does he say is, hard work was the key. Patience, of course, he was definitely patient on that final ball coming in. They were difficult to break down. We got there in the end. Right, that's enough of the quotes, I reckon. Let's get into actually what went down in the game. So the 3 points that we've sort of pulled out for today, Lindelof being a big one, because I thought this was arguably one of his better games. That right-hand side, and Paul Pogba's involvement in it this time around. Just leave them, mate, no one's asked. Thank you. Right, sound. But you definitely need to fix that now because it's all over the place. Yeah, let's have a look here then at the... this is the average positioning, and we're going to get into this quite heavily, I reckon, today, because the average positioning, certainly of the right-hand side, needs a lot of examining. And we'll get into that in just a second. The biggest thing that I noticed looking at this there is Antonio Valencia's positioning. Wrong side of the halfway line. Shaw's not too far up, but I think the difference with Shaw is there's congestion in front of Luke Shaw.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't compare it too much. It's a home game, it's a home game compared against an away game. So
we're going to pull it up in a second. But yeah, I mean, just looking at just the ones that's on the screen here now at the moment. There, left hand side there, you can see Luke Shaw just on the halfway line, Martial just ahead of him.
Yeah,
if Cam stops messing around with this, so we can actually see. And then you can see Tony Valencia. It's not too far back compared to Shaw, but because there's nobody else in his channel, that's the issue. Have we got the comparison of last week? Let's have a look at the difference there between Bournemouth then. And we can see there Young's positioning, and far be it from me to give Ashley Young any praise, but Young's positioning there versus Valencia's positioning there. Was that because of the threat of Newcastle? I don't think so, to be honest.
I don't know, because I mean, that's what I was going to say. I mean, home game against away game, you're always going to have a different pattern of play. You're always going to play slightly different. You might play a little bit more on the counter attack, but certainly in the 3 games that we've had under the new manager, even the first game away against Cardiff, I just always felt that the way we played, there was always that outlet of Ashley Young on the right hand side. Even when Dalot played against Huddersfield, when the chance was created, I think Rashford crossed it in and Neil scored at the top post. There was always that outlet. The right fullback in the 3 games before today has almost played as a right winger. With either whether it be Lingard or Mata coming in off that right hand side, overloading the middle of the pitch, trying to get in those little pockets of space. But that right fullback was playing so high that it offered us continued width, and I just didn't feel like we had that today with Valencia for whatever reason. I do not know, but you
can see the final third involvement there from Ashley Young, which is significantly better than what you're getting out of Antonio Valencia. There was just nothing. Did we get the key passes one?
No.
The key passes one would be a really interesting one if we could find that, because that really highlighted how much we was playing on the left hand side. But yeah, I just don't think it was good enough from us in that channel. Juan Mata was too central, as you can see. If we go back to the average positions, Juan Mata there just far too central. He's basically just playing. He's in the middle channel for starters. Rashford looks like he's drifted over to the right hand side, but that was because he was playing right wing, and that's affected it latterly a little bit there. What else we got to look at then? So that was the big thing that we thought there was just the lack of a right hand side from United, big time. I thought that was a real lack of a right hand side. Juan Mata and Valencia. I think it's a mistake if we try and play both of them guys together again. What was the other one that we had? We got. Do we have Pogba's and a comparison with last week? So you saying during the game that you think that the lack of Jesse Lingard has really affected Pogba today?
Yeah, I do. Massively.
So here we go. This is Pogba's actions today, and where his frequent passes was. It's fine. He's distributing it around those around him, and a lot of his involvement is in the final third. Can we compare that to last week?
No.
You just said you had it.
No.
All right, we're not comparing that to last week. But if you do compare that to the actions that we did have from last week for Pogba, he was absolutely everywhere. He covered everything, and not just that, the range of passing that we saw from him last week. And this again could be down to the fact that there is no Lingard and there is no fullback on that side that is able to get into that final third and provide him an option. Valencia just wasn't there as an option for him today.
No, I mean that's the thing. I think with a player like Lingard, for as much as you can criticise him, if you are his biggest fan, the movement that he brings to us off the ball, I don't think we have anyone anywhere close to him in that team. Mata, for all what he does very good, he just don't provide that ability off the ball.
So that is the actual map there of Pogba's passing. You can see that there wasn't those long switches of play at all.
Everything's
at
very
all.
restricted,
Yeah, it was very much in the left hand channel. Second half it was a little bit more central, but no switches of play. There's one there, the ghosted out one that you can just about see there in the first half. But that I thought was lacking today, and I think you're right that there's probably. It's more about the space and the movement created by others than what Paul's able to go and do himself. Dare I say it was a lot of a Louis van Gaal performance, this, I thought.
No, I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with if Mata plays in the team, there's nothing wrong with him coming in and playing narrow, because that's what he's naturally going to do. He's a left-footed, in my eyes, he's still number 10, he's not a right midfielder.
No.
Is naturally, that's what he's going to do. But unfortunately for him, the way we play under this new manager I don't feel suits him as much as Jesse Lingard. And, a player of Paul Pogba's ability, with the passing range he has, he needs, if he's not doing the running off the ball himself, when he gets that ball, he needs people running off the ball for him. And like you say, Jesse Lingard does that from the outside through the middle of the pitch, and then the fullback's doing it down the outside. Like you say, you're not seeing one of those raking passes that he's been making in the last few weeks.
But it wasn't just Pogba as well, because actually the entire team, the possession that we held today, and this is why I think it was a lot like a Louis van Gaal performance. If you look at the frequent passes, now the Cardiff game, what we saw in the frequent passes in the Cardiff game was that it was central on Matic, and it went from Matic to Herrera and Pogba, and then it went into the two wingers. Now, if you look at this today, it's just a flat line. The two centre mids, the two fullbacks, and Phil Jones going up to Pogba a little bit there from Matic, but no penetration.
That's the thing, when it's going into Pogba, how many of them players in front of him are you really relying on for a lot of movement off the ball? Rashford will give it you, Martial will give you in spells, I think. He's still quite a positional winger where he likes to hold his width and get the ball, then get 1v1. And Mata, it's just not his game to play that way.
No. We just had Mr. Glenn Johnson, don't think that's the real guy, banging a super chat for us. He says, you have to look at who played right wing this game, Mata, when looking at right back. The same problem happens with Lingard. They both drift too much to the middle, need a right winger. I think what you don't get from Mata that you do get from Lingard, though, is the defensive stuff.
Yeah,
we saw against Bournemouth that we was winning possession in the fullback area because of the pressure that Jesse and Marcus were putting on people in those areas. That Juan Mata just doesn't do. I thought he was good today, though. What's this one we've got coming in here, Cam? Oh, so this is last week, is it? Mm-hmm. All right, let's have a look then. So this should be interesting. So here's Pogba this week versus last week. Bournemouth versus Newcastle. Actually, it was a lot more box to box against Bournemouth. What we really need is the range of passing. That's going to be harder for us to find in it. But the range of passing against Bournemouth was just better. It was just better. It was very much crowded boxed in one area. By the looks of that, just that left hand sort of quarter of the pitch. Yeah, it was just like we said against Bournemouth. If you'd have had someone that you could mirror that on the right hand side of midfield. Oh, it'd be unstoppable. Marcus Rashford was the other one that we wanted to talk about. Did we get Lindelof, actually? All right, we've got Lindelof coming as well, but let's have a look at what Rashford did today. So, in terms of actions, you don't really expect your forward to do too much, but I mean it's everywhere there, isn't it? Absolute work rate overload, and then challenges not very successful in a lot of them challenges. The X's represent there, but again, work rate from Marcus Rashford, and it's good to see him getting the recognition that he absolutely deserves as well. Here's the passing ranges from him. It's not a lot to look at really from a centre forward, but there's not many centre forwards in world football that get involved too much with a build-up play. When it drifts over to this left-hand channel, just on the left-hand side of the box there, I think you see a lot from Marshall and Rashford. I think they get on the same wavelength quite quickly.
Yeah, they do a little 1-2 touch pass in between defenders.
Alrighty, who else have we got to have a look at then? Or should we hit some questions up? Right, I'm going to head over to our Patreon group as well and see what you guys are saying in the questions. So I'll pick some of these out here. Connor, how come we didn't seem to get too many people in the box like Marshall and Pogba and not rely on our fullbacks to get crosses in? I think we struggled getting in behind today.
Yeah, we did. They sat very deep. They made it difficult. I think they played 5 at the back, didn't they? 4 in midfield. They made it difficult to break us down. But like I say, you're playing away from home in a tough place to go to. You're not, it's a different sort of mentality going to the game with, different game plan. You have to respect that sometimes. And you're not going to commit as many people forward as what you maybe was doing at home or had done in the first game when everyone was buzzing for the new manager coming in, and we got the early goal in that game as well. So it changed the whole complexity of everything. We had the early goal, we had something to build on. Then Cardiff had to come out and attack us, and it just created a whole world of problems for them. The
early goal is key, and a lot of times, isn't it, where you force then the change in somebody else. And I thought it was a little bit lacking ambition, certainly at home from Newcastle, but I guess that's what you're going to accept in it.
Yeah.
Brian McD says, thought Valencia was very poor. He is well and truly done. Backline looked not great overall. We do actually have the key passes now, and I think this is really important. Look how clustered just to the left-hand side of the D that is. Even in both halves, it's less successful in the second. But look at the position that the key passes are coming in from. You're looking at Ander Herrera, Jesse Lingard, even Lindelof playing them. Tellingly, from the right-hand side, not one from Mata and not one from Antonio Valencia. And for me, that's not acceptable.
No.
Especially when you look at the cluster of that. We've been left-centric for a long time, but that is just... What did Valencia do? Because he offered nothing defensively, offered nothing attackingly. He's finished for me. He's finished. James Powley says the super sub making super subs. Both his substitutions being involved in the goal. What do I think of Ollie's game management? It seemed to be a really hard-fought match. Looked to be frustrated for the first hour. His subs might have opened it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Not only this game as well. I think in the what was the game now? The Huddersfield game. I don't even remember the start of the second half. Quite early on, he made 2 changes. I think he brought Herrera on for Fred. He was having quite a poor game.
And Delo came off for Young.
Yeah. And the game was just starting to become very end-to-end, quite stretched. And he made those 2 subs early, brought in a bit of experience, a bit more balance to the team, and from then we then built on the game again. And obviously today he's made 2 attacking substitutions. He's gone for the game. He's got his reward early on. So the signs are good. It's positive signs. We've got a manager that's not throwing on Fellaini.
We are taking questions off. I know, yeah. We are taking questions off Twitter as well. So if you want to get involved on Twitter, use the hashtag UnitedReview. And we have got a question on Twitter, so let's have a look at what that is saying at the moment. You've cut the name off. You've got to give the guy a shout out if you've cut the name off. Koulibaly is 28 this year. Is the reported 120 mil asking price not a lot for a player his age? Granted, he's quality, but would someone younger not be worth an investment like that? From Mr. Mystery, I guess.
Listen, I've only seen him once, and he was against Liverpool the other week, and he was fucking unbelievable. He was an absolute monster. So, £125 million is... It's a going rate for...
It kind of is now, isn't it? I mean, if that was the guy that managed to propel us into the top 4 and be the platform to build on for next year,
yeah,
I don't have an issue with it. I think 125 million is a lot for someone that you don't have a sell-on value with. That does seem a very high fee for someone that's probably going to get 1 4-year contract out of it, maybe a 5-year contract.
Yeah, I can understand that. But I mean, Listen, if there's somebody else out there that is better than him at this current moment in time that's available, then I'll be very surprised.
I'm going to get some more off Patreon and see what these guys are saying. Remember only a few weeks ago when the idiots were calling for Rashford to be binned? How class has he been for Ollie? His performances haven't really changed except that he's now delivering a little bit, but the team is delivering. Yeah. So I think that goes hand in hand. Ryan Hall, did we struggle to break down Newcastle today due to the lack of a presence on the right wing? Valencia very poor. A lot of questions saying the same sort of thing here, so I might skip some of these. But I don't know if it was that. I think that when you look at where Newcastle lost the ball, and we haven't prepped that screen, so we're not going to get one out for you, versus where we forced errors against Bournemouth, quite often we would force Bournemouth to give it us back or force them into a risky pass. We only saw that once that I can think of off the top of my head today, where Marcus forced the keeper to just boot it in the touch. But that happened quite frequently against Bournemouth. And I think when you're forcing errors in the channels like that on a regular basis, you're getting balls back higher up the pitch and you can turn those into attack quicker. But as you said, they sat so deep, Newcastle, that you couldn't find the space to get in behind. So, like I said, we're not going to be too critical on it, but yeah, essentially that's that. Same thing from Tino. Does it show how much Valencia hinders us? Yeah. I was really excited for what he might be able to offer. Clean slate with a new manager.
I must admit, I looked at the back four tonight and I thought maybe Jones take him out, but that's probably our strongest 3 out of the 4 strongest back four we've got. But I was really disappointed with him.
Really
bad.
Donald O'Mahony, do you think that guy from Everton, Idrissa guy that is, not just that random guy, I'd love someone like that in the team. I think someone with that kind of work rate, Endon Bailey is the one that I'm thinking of at the top of my mind at the moment for that kind of guy. But yeah, I think we need energy. Mitts, how calm does Marcus look now? That was a calm finish.
Yeah.
We've got it in the title and we've not even really spoke about it, but that finish was composure personified. And like I said, that is his weakness. So if Ollie is getting an arm around him and making those sort of things happen, you might have a nightmare. Thoughts on the first half? We lack creativity. Again, I think struggled to break down a team that didn't want to play us at football, although they did create a few chances. And you know, we prepare the Lindelof stuff? We did prepare Lindelof stuff. Let's have a look at Victor Lindelof. Because Victor Lindelof, look at those challenges. Some creeping into the opposition half there, but some really key challenges. And he was the most dominant defensive player on the pitch today. By a long way. Actions almost box to box there for him. I thought Lindelof was excellent today. And very deserving of the clean sheet, which he was a big part of us.
See, I think that's quite an interesting one as well, because I think far too often people watch 2 or 3 performances of a player and go, oh shit, he's not good enough and this and that. People are saying it about Fred now. You know, let's not forget, I don't know, 3 months ago we was at Brighton away and he had an absolute beast.
He did.
And West Ham away.
Those very direct, old school English centre forward sort of games don't suit him, which is why I think he did better in Europe.
I mean, we thought he'd struggle tonight, but I think when we looked at his stats straight after the game, he won all of his duels against Rondon. And he made more tackles, interceptions, and headers than Jones. And
beast.
You know, perception would be that Jones is more of an aggressive centre half than him, when actually
it wasn't the case.
Yeah, it wasn't the case.
It just wasn't the case.
So there's clearly something that's triggered his career at Man United over the last few months, and I think by far, probably him, and if Rashford carries on the way he's playing at the minute, you couldn't argue that he's been our most improved player. This
Lindelof,
season.
Shockingly, 90 minutes put him in the flops of 2018, which is a bit of a piss take.
Yeah, I mean,
a hell of a lot of piss take, considering the performances of some players.
Top player.
A question here that I don't know the answer to off the top of my head, so I'm going to check on Insta here now. From Ahmed, was it just me or did Pogba lose the ball a lot today? Granted, most were in the final third. I'm going to have a look. I don't remember that.
Here's a question for you.
79%.
Would you start Young ahead of Tony V from now on, Steve? Brackets agenda.
I would find a really good right back and play him.
Between now and the end of the season.
Oh yeah, no, it's January. It's time to go shopping. I would find a really good right back. I don't think Dalot's ready yet.
No, I don't.
I think there's some really positive attributes with him going forward. Yeah. I like the way he crosses. I mean, that was one of the things that we noticed before when it was Valencia. Yeah. Not only did he not complete any crosses, he didn't even try any crosses. Sorry, mate. That's literally all you're here to do, really, in a modern game. Is a fullback's probably primary job is to help create stuff in the final third, and probably secondary to that is to prevent the other team getting in the back. I would find a good right back. Coincidentally, I've got a right back video dropping on Tuesday, so make sure to stick around for that. If you're enjoying this content, if you enjoy this analysis, please make sure to like the video. There's 2,000 people watching. I know that you guys can get this to over 1,000. You nearly did it the other day, and we nearly got to electrocute Abdul. I'm not going to electrocute Tom, but I might just electrocute Abdul just for the sake of it, so it's your shout. Barbie Sean, we all know how good of a baller Mata is, but should we stop playing him right wing completely? We sort of touched on this earlier, didn't we? If we're going to play him like David Silva, still a player there, not on the right wing.
You can't argue with the second part of his thing either.
He used to be another 10 or part of a midfield three like he was at Chelsea, against Chelsea. Yeah, I thought he was fantastic there. Ryan Pulley says, what if he's mint? That's what I've been saying about Solskjaer. What if he is mint? And he's quoting Busby. He's now equaling Busby. I got time for that. We've got some more questions off Twitter. So get a like in the video if you're enjoying it. This one is from Mujahid. He says, I think Ollie has changed Marshall. Before you used to see him being selfish and shoot at every opportunity. Now it looks like he's been told to keep running in behind and pass the ball more and stay wide left. Do you know what? We did kind of touch on that a second ago, didn't we? We were saying like his link-up play with Rashford's actually quite nice. Looks like there's quite a lot of questions coming in. If you want to get involved, hashtag United Review over on Twitter. Let's have a look at some of these that we've got then. Coming in thick and fast. Cameron struggling to keep up. From Reynard, do you think we should go for Nabil Fekir? I think he can solve the balance we need on the right-hand side. What do you think?
You can't really answer that question at the minute, can you? Because you don't know who's going to be the manager.
That's a very good point.
You don't know how we're going to play. You don't know what formation we're going to play them in. The new manager, I personally would go for Pochettino. He's renowned for playing 4-2-3-1. So that if that was the case, then yeah, potentially the play you mentioned there. You might have a manager that comes in and plays 3-5-2. Plays with wing backs, no midfielder. So yeah, I mean, then that goes back to you two up front. So.
What I would do personally, I would tell Tahith Chong and Mason Greenwood, you've got 15-20 minutes, probably alternate one a week. Show me that you deserve that right wing spot, because as much as I think both of them are fantastic, chances of two players coming through at the same time like that's pretty slim if we're being realistic. Although I think Mason eventually ends up as a 9. That space is going to come on the right-hand side. So I would just say to them, you've got till the end of the season, go and impress us. And one of them could stake that claim themselves. That's the United way.
Yeah.
We've got another question about that right-hand side. Sanchez should start on the right-hand side, says Farouk.
Well, he did for Barcelona, didn't he, when he in his first
he did.
couple of seasons.
And then this fella called Lionel Messi came in.
Yeah, he's crap.
I don't know if he did anything after that. At what point do we start to worry about Marshall being slow on the ball, or does he just have to unlearn it? I think he's been better. Like as I was mentioned earlier, I thought he's been a little bit better, to be honest. We've got another one off Twitter there from Fargo. Today was one of those games we needed to be patient. Don't think Valencia suits the system, and Ole needs to find a way to make the low play better football. Marcus just too impressive, and as for transfers, no other than the Senegalese tank, Koulibaly. Yeah, I mean, fair play. Do you want to show us where we can find him on Twitter? Anytime you like. All right. Go give Tom a follow over on Twitter at TomHart66. Thanks for joining us, pal.
No problem.
Thank you guys for joining us. Subscribe if you're new around here. I am like double close to 70,000, and I would very much like to hit that this week. If you guys fancy helping me do that, that'd be much appreciated. Next video out from me is going to be, what day are we on? Preview on Friday, so come and check that out ahead of the Reading game, where maybe we'll talk about what youngsters could feature, and then after that we've got some transfer shortlist stuff coming out on Monday and probably Wednesday or Tuesday next week. Thank you guys for joining us. Go give Tom a follow over on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.